Welcome back, everyone. Australia has become the first country in the world to legislate a social media ban for under-16s, thanks to the support of both major parties. The new laws apply to age-restricted social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, X and Reddit. They aim to prevent Australians under the age of 16 from logging in or having social accounts. The move has generated global headlines, with the world watching us to see what happens next. For their take, let's bring in the host of Triple M Night Shift, Luke Boner, and commentator Kath Webber. Good morning.
Morning.
Luke, there is no doubt the majority of parents in this country support this. But the big question is, how is it going to work?
Yeah, how's it going to be policed? And that's the question that all my listeners have been calling in with for weeks now. How are you going to police this? If you're going to put maybe a fine of $50 million on a social media platform that breaks the rules, what are you going to do? Are they going to pay the $50 million? And what are you going to do if they don't? I mean, we can't get these people to pay full freight tax, let alone pay a $50 million fine. So I don't know what the consequences are if they break the rules. And are you a little bit concerned that where there's a will, there's a way? Kids who are dead set certain on wanting to get on social media, they will do it. I mean, look at the false IDs and kids getting into pubs and clubs. Where there's a will, there's a way. And what if you've got a child that has got a social media account, despite the rules, and is getting bullied, but then doesn't want to tell mum and dad about it because they've broken the law, and so they keep it a secret because they've done the wrong thing? Is that worth thinking about as well?
Yeah, Kath, parents want it because they are helpless and they're desperate, and we've seen the consequences. So politicians are saying, look, we're trying to give you the tools. It's not foolproof, and every other country has failed on this, so how are we going to do it?
Look, I'm actually optimistic about it. I think that the big tech needs a push. This is a conversation happening in every language, in every country, in every house around the world, right? But they still haven't done anything about it. If you start threatening their income and then, there's legislation and a fine, then I don't think they haven't been working on this stuff for years in the background. I mean, you've got YouTube Kids. You've got now all of a sudden Insta teen reels. Like, they can do the work and they are innovative. There's smart people in those places. So it's in their interest if they come up with something, really talking to adolescents about what they want, then it could potentially grow a new platform. So I think it's, I would hope now, I'll be interested to see what they come up with. They've been working on it in the background for sure.
Yeah, but how do you make them accountable? Well, if you whack a $50 million fine on them and they say I'm not paying it, what are you going to do?
But this is the thing. I don't think in any world in a year's time all kids under 16 are going to be off social media.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, of course, and it's good that the parents and the kids aren't going to be held accountable or anything like that. But it's pushing back on big tech. Like, I do think they've got things, like I said, Insta teen reels, where you can provide restricted access, or you're restricting who can follow them, or they get asked whether you can be followed. Little things that they've got a lot of tricks up their sleeves that they're just not doing because it works for them to have advertisers pulling in money.
So it gives parents a tool to say, no, you can't be on it.
Yeah.
The government says you can't be on it, so there will be a lot of kids who take notice of that. The ones who are going to cheat the system, which, let's face it, there will be some, which is what politicians are saying, they can put in an ID. They don't have to put in a government ID. They can put in their school ID, and then exactly, Luke, how's the government how are we going to enforce that?
And we shouldn't demonise social media either. There are really good sides to it for kids as well.
Absolutely.
So people need to get digital literacy under control and talk to their kids about it.
I just don't know how you're going to make them accountable and how you're going to enforce it. I'd like to know that, because I do think it's a good idea, but, where there's a will, there's a way. I've said it again.
Yeah. Let's go to Queensland now, where the state's most violent young offenders are set to be jailed for life after Premier David Crisafulli officially introduced his Making Queensland Safer laws into Parliament. But the move has sparked heated debate, with the state's Human Rights Commissioner saying the legislation reflects a society that has lost its way. Kath, you're right there. Yeah. What do you think of these laws?
Look, I think he had no other option as Premier. This is ridiculous now. Everyone is scared. It's happening. Everyone almost has a personal story. Like, it's been out of control for years. The one thing I'm interested in is prevention and rehabilitation more so. I think he had to do it. The public's sick of it. That's what politics is, you know, perception. But he did say in there, so there's a week consultation. It's very short. I would encourage private providers, community groups to get involved. There's amazing people who are rehabilitating, and these kids have not had an easy start in life. So if we can rehabilitate, that's better off for the budget, for prison systems and for everything else. And there's a place on the Gold Coast that's done, like, they've got like this enormous success rate. It can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got this sort of two sides of it. People who've been, you know, robbed and their families injured, they don't care about that side of it, do you? But you've got advocates, you've got lawyers saying increased penalties do not deter them. And research shows that punishment and jail actually increase crime. But that's what the people in Queensland, that's what they wanted, Luke.
Yeah, that's right. And I get plenty of calls from Queenslanders who sleep with a baseball bat next to their bed. They are terrified, and it's out of control. But it's not just Queensland, it is a national problem. I said this ages ago, that the Queensland election would be fought on youth crime. It should have been fought on cost of living, should have been fought on the cost of electricity and lots of other issues. But juvenile justice was the main issue, and it is out of control. But it's not just in Queensland. Look at this, front page of the Herald Sun today. A teenage boy facing 57 charges over an alleged crime spree involving car thefts, several home invasions, the torching of a stolen car. He's been bailed.
Yeah.
Now, that's in Victoria. Listen, there's a bloke that I know called Bob Davis. He runs a boot camp called Hard Yakka. I've spoken to him 3 times and it's on my podcast. You want to hear this bloke? He has a military background. He has a 96% success rate. And guess what? He gets no funding. All his funding is from philanthropy, or if he can scrape up some sort of corporate money, he does. He gets no government funding. A 96% success rate. He takes the chip off the shoulder, he puts pride back in the heart, and it's working. It is rehabilitation at work. Bob Davis, Hard Yakka. Look him up. He is a star.
We will. You know what? We will. And we should do a story, because we need solutions here. We're not necessarily just politicians, you know, appeasing people. We need a solution.
And give him some funding, Crucifili, give him funding. You've been there, you've nodded your head. Put your money where your mouth is.
OK, we will. We'll follow it up. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Have a good weekend.